Okay, there we go. I'm hearing my YouTube being live at the same time as I'm seeing my LinkedIn go live, and I'm hearing all the audio come into one, so it's very, very fun. All right, so we are live on LinkedIn. We are live on YouTube. Hold on, wait, LinkedIn? Let me double check. Okay, yes, we are also live on LinkedIn. Good. Okay, so welcome to the monthly AI update. So what we're trying to do here is just cover all the news that happens in AI in the past month. We're not going to cover all of it because there's way too much of it, and you know that, and we all know that. And so what we're actually going to do here is we cover what are some of those most important pieces of news. Let's pull them apart, let's dialogue about them, and just start to understand what do these mean for where AI is, where AI is going. And to do that, I've got John and Addie here. So John, do you want to give them just a bit of background on yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm John Down. I'm a professor at the University of Portland in the business school, focused on entrepreneurship and artificial intelligence, with a PhD in strategy. Been doing a lot of AI stuff for well before the whole Gen AI stuff happened, and great to be here and talk about what's going on with AI.
Sweet. I'm Addie Olson. I'm an AI and data science consultant. My background is on the technical side. I'm an applied statistician specializing in machine learning. But now I help small businesses, nonprofits, and startups with AI strategy and custom AI solution development.
Excellent. So we got three topics today. We've got a AI in corporate, and we've got Nano Banana and some AI video fun stuff. And then the last one, we've got some Goldman Sachs AI jobs information from their jobs report, I think, right? Is that the title of it? Did I get that right?
I think it's article,
Close
report,
enough.
same thing, yeah.
Search Goldman Sachs jobs AI. You'll probably get the thing that pops up. All right. So maybe do we want to start it on jobs, then go corporate, then finish with some fun on Nano Banana and AI video generation?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
All
And
right.
another topic that maybe we'll kind of work in there that I'd been thinking a little bit about is we are in the early stages of the new academic year, and there's been a fair amount of stuff that kind of ties in with the job stuff too, but around AI and education. So maybe we can kind of work a little bit of that in. There's a couple of things I was hoping to bring up and get your guys' thoughts on today too on that.
Perfect.
Definitely.
Sounds good. All right, Addie, do you want to kick us off on the jobs?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. Okay, so Goldman Sachs put out an article basically talking about AI and job displacement. The title of the article is How Will AI Affect the Global Workforce? And this is obviously a really big question on people's minds. I feel like every time you go to an AI event or you hear someone talk about AI, they're like, it's going to take our jobs. Or, maybe that's the negative side of things. But yeah, how AI is going to affect the workplace is a pretty big question mark and like high on people's radar right now. And so Goldman Sachs and their like economic research team put out this research, and it's definitely, I would say, like, just to summarize it, it's not alarmist at all. It's basically its main finding is saying that there's going to be a moderate and short-term effect on the workforce negatively. So they're saying that AI could displace potentially 6 to 7% of the US workforce in the long term, and that 2 to 3% of jobs may totally go away because of it, which seems like a small number. Obviously, when you think about the workforce as a whole, that is actually quite a large amount of people, but perhaps not as alarmist as maybe some other estimates. They also really highlight that the job loss from AI is likely temporary. They say for every 1% gain in technology-driven production, there's an expected increase in unemployment by only 0.3 percentage points, if that makes sense. So production, their technology and work productivity should far outpace the rate of unemployment that would be caused by that is basically what they're saying here. And they're also saying that labor productivity will also increase more in developed or certain specific developed markets, if that makes sense. They do highlight what jobs might most be at risk, which people who are following along may find this pretty predictable, but they say top would be computer programmers, entry-level software engineers, accountants and auditors, legal and admin assistants, customer service representatives, telemarketers, proofreaders, copy editors, those types of roles. Yeah, so kind of what we would expect and how we're seeing AI being used in the workforce already. But yeah, they're really trying to be not super alarmist and say like the market disruption will probably happen, but will be limited and temporary. Also, this kind of ties into the next thing we're going to talk about, saying that only a very small percentage of companies are actively and productively using generative AI in production. They're saying, and this lines up with John, the article that you're going to be talking about as well. They're saying only 9% of companies right now are reported using generative AI in production, actually getting them ROI right now. So kind of another grain of salt to take with this is that they're still pretty slow to actually get that, those AI use cases actually going to work as well. But yeah, that's kind of the summary there. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
Well,
John,
maybe.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. A couple things that I think about as I, read an article like this. One is that they're often basing predictions based on historic, new technologies that have come about. And so, I think one thing to think about is in what ways is AI different, or can it just be, the two guys that wrote AI is snake oil kind of thing, are doing a lot of stuff around AI is normal technology, kind of thing. Is it normal technology just like we've seen in the past, or are there things that are different about it, And so if there are a lot of things that are different about it, and I think there are, then that means that using kind of those past models may not give you very good prediction results, So I guess that would be one thing I would say. Another is I like to keep in mind when I'm thinking about the impact on jobs and people working with AI, it increases productivity, but will it kind of keep getting better and better, so there's less need for a human in the loop? I like to think of this sort of inverse relationship between the need for human in the loop against how capable and quality is the AI. So if the AI is not very good, like it isn't in many cases now, especially when we're talking about things like AI agents and stuff, then you need a lot of human in the loop time. But AI, as we know, is going to get better. So as the capability of the AI improves, then the need for human in the loop goes down. And we've sort of seen this in some applications where AI has gotten very good and very reliable. And that's part of what you're talking about and what the article's talking about, sort of like where the job losses might happen. So, the question is that inverse relationship applicable to sort of like all new uses of AI where, as the AI gets super and super capable, then you really don't need humans in the loop. I mean, just autonomous driving just sort of popped into my head, right? That that gets better and better, then we don't need to have the driver sitting in the car that can take over when there's problems. And we're starting to find that that's happening with Waymo and that kind of thing, right? So a few thoughts on that.
I think that's perfect, because I think as you think about it, like the error rate is kind of what dictates the need for the attention. So it's like, how many times does it not give you the result you're looking for? And every time you write an email and you catch little things, like you draft it with AI and then you catch little things that you want to change, then you know that, okay, I need to be actively engaged in the loop here. But as that goes down, there's this point where you're catching so few things that you feel pretty comfortable just sending it. Um, so I think there's sort of that piece there as it goes down, the errors get less and less frequent. It's like humans paying attention with autonomous vehicles. It's hard to get them to pay attention when the errors are very infrequent.
Hmm.
So if you have to fully look at the road all the time, but the error only happens every, uh, say, 2,000 miles, right? It's going to be very hard to catch the one error that happens in that 2000th mile because you're just sitting
Yeah.
there for 2,000 miles.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, that's such a good point, as well as like they don't really, I mean, I think they kind of talk about like their whole thing is like a brief disruption, but yeah, in the like far long term, as AI continues to get better, yeah, I feel like they don't really do a good job of like addressing, kind of more like long term transformations. But yeah, but also to your first point, I think that's really good too. Is that yeah, like economic research and any prediction, even the ones that our AI agents are doing, is all based on past data, and they quote that 85% of job growth since 1940 is linked to uh, new roles being that didn't exist before, but were due to new technology. So, they, kind of hinting at like transformation will look different, and there could be all sorts of new types of jobs and employment that could come about as well. But yeah, that's such a good point. It's like, we haven't had technology like AI before, so basing it, just upon past data, I mean, like anything, might not necessarily be super reliable.
I think that the jobs piece is really interesting though because we're looking at jobs, but we're also looking at automation of tasks. So if those tasks are getting automated, but the jobs are what we're measuring, there's a certain point when maybe we don't work the 40-hour week. That still preserves the job, but
Hmm.
there's less time that we're actually spending in the job. Um,
Hmm.
then if you take out more tasks, you could have jobs that we keep the job and someone technically is still employed with someone, but their job is entirely pointless. They basically don't
Hmm.
do anything. So we could end up with useless jobs if we end up trying to preserve jobs that could be fully automated, which is not something that we want. We don't want to have that system where we're like, we have to keep this job because we want to keep jobs. I mean, we should have jobs that actually are important and people
Well, why?
take pride in.
What if they're important for like human sort of enjoyment and and sort of learning and keeps your brain active and things like that? If the human could do the job, even though the AI might be able to do it better, um, w- maybe we should let the human keep doing the job.
But that
Yeah.
has a use. See, the purpose of the job is for the human to learn.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think that's
Yeah.
a different
Hmm.
purpose. But if you say that you have to be at this desk and you just sit there and you can't do anything with your time, else you don't want to be there, you don't find it fulfilling, but they say you have to do this so you have this job,
Hmm.
then we should be careful of doing that, which
Yeah.
I think is one of the ways that when we're measuring jobs, but the actual important thing is like the actual thing that's happening is we're automating tasks. If your job consists of effectively, you know, nothing that it doesn't have to be there. Like there's someone just saying you have to be here to do it, but like it doesn't actually functionally need to be done that way. I always think of it as like your task consists of problems and opportunities, and then tasks. Tasks that are the repetitive piece, yeah, you'll probably be able to automate those away. But go find problems, go find opportunities, make that job meaningful. I think there's a big way to change any job into being something that is still very meaningful and important for people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, but
And I
it's
think
finding the
like,
problems and opportunities and not focusing just on the tasks.
yeah. And I think kind of to your point of like there are so many jobs and like tasks and kind of getting to that productivity piece that can be automated. Like, maybe like let's talk about like customer service representatives. A lot of times like they're just using the information that they already have and exist, to communicate with people. It's not like they, all each have like this unique skill set that they like need. And also like, I don't know, some people probably like their customer service representative jobs, but maybe it's not for everyone. So I feel like in this shift towards kind of automating those types of roles, I feel like there will be, this is just my theory, I feel like there will become like a premium on an actual human doing the job instead of it being automated and being done by AI. Like in the customer service representative, like, even as things are now, sometimes it's kind of frustrating when you're talking to a robot, right? But like, let's say like whatever company that offers like some sort of like premium or higher level service for you will like it's like, oh well, you can definitely talk to a human with us because that's what this is, but this comes at a premium now. Or if we're going to talk about like art and video creation later, it's like, okay, we made this using a model and it cost this much, but there's this premium content that was made by real humans. And so like maybe those sorts of roles will almost be like elevated, and people who like really have higher skill in those levels can like kind of cash in on that when there is an option between like having a human do it and having AI do it.
I
Yeah.
like the restaurant example. Imagine like a restaurant and you have all robot
Yeah.
servers and hosts versus like human servers and hosts. There's
Oh,
a
totally.
premium experience of that.
Yeah, I mean that already exists. Like if you go to Taco Bell and just use the kiosk, like you're paying far less than when you go to fine dining and have that table service. Yeah.
Well, what about the case where you're traveling and something happened with your airline, you need to change your ticket, and you can call the airline and you can wait on hold for 20 minutes and then get somebody that's kind of a little bit irritated because they've been doing that for 8 hours or something. Or you can get through immediately to an AI that is going to be very pleasant and solve your problem in 30 seconds. Which of those would you choose?
Right. Yeah.
Would you
Definitely
still,
the.
yeah, so.
and
I was also
and
just,
then
what's that?
to take the extension of that, and then the AI filters for all the people who need the immediate service, and then you have the person who's like, I really just want to talk to a human about this, and then that actually goes to a real human who's there to just like actually
Quickly, yeah.
talk and be there, and they don't take the bulk of the calls. They're just there to connect on a human level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Back to this sort of human in the loop curve,
Mhm.
like that's ways down it. I was talking to a CEO not long ago, less than about, I guess, a little over a month ago, that has a company that does have quite a significant part of his workforce on a call center, and they started introducing AI more than it was about 9 months ago, and to help with some of the call center stuff, and it didn't go very well for a while, but it got better over time. And when I met with him again just about a month ago, I asked him, how's it going with that call? And he told me that it's been going extremely well, and that their customers are responding better to the AI
Mhm.
responses. And he told me he's in a bit of a bind because he could get rid of pretty much everybody in his call center. But
Mhm.
he spent years building this culture of this company that's amazing. It's an amazing company for people to work at. And so, what do you do there? So,
Well, but that's where I think we get so lost on this, because the last time we've been through major industrial changes, and things where people have had to do massive reskills, and the ways that people would reskill is books and teachers, right? But right now you have the internet and you've got AI, and you have this availability of information that is so readily available to you. So it's never been easier to reskill. I
I
think
don't know if
that
the
that is
people that are
something where,
losing their jobs would be super receptive to that message. I've liked
but
working here for 8 years, and you're just telling me, dude, it's easy. Go find something else to do. What are they going to go do?
but let's take the center example. So you've got a bunch of people in a call center, right? All those people could think, okay, so I don't want to fire like the CEO's like, I don't want to fire these people. I want them to find, we've got a good company culture. what is the thing that these people could all do? Like, what are the ways that these skills could be reorged throughout the organization?
Okay,
So,
sorry. I was thinking you were telling them, we're going to push you out the door. You figure
yeah,
out your reskilling and go work in a new company. But you're saying the company and the leadership needs to work hard to figure out how to help those people transition and add value to the company. And I love
if you've
that.
got a
I love
good if
that.
you've
Yeah.
got a good culture and a good workforce, and like, why disrupt the culture in the workforce? Just figure out, how do we get people to be doing things that are meaningful to the company if the things that we have used to have them doing are not
Yeah.
as effective.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. I like that piece of like tying the automation to innovation. Like, okay, now that we have much more resources and capacity, like what what's that backlog of lists, the things that we've never had time to do? Or, these people have like maybe in the call center, like super in-depth domain knowledge of the company and the processes and how it works. Like, how can we use that to, yeah, innovate and be more productive and push forward?
Yeah, don't underestimate the time it takes for someone to learn a company that, like, about a company, because they're already embedded in it. They've already learned about the company. They've worked there for a little while. They know the ins and outs of how the company works. Just ask them how it can be better, and they might find the things themselves too.
Hmm.
One other thing, maybe I'll ask you guys around sort of the jobs and the future of jobs. So, some people have said that it is going to disrupt a lot of jobs, not necessarily the article, Addie, but,
Sure.
and so, but then they also say that it's not going to really impact employment too much because there's all these new jobs that are going to get created. So what do you think are some of those new jobs? And are there sort of like millions of them, or are there, hundreds of them, kind of thing? Because it's hard for me to think about, as AI gets better and better, what are the jobs that AI won't really be able to do, as well as people? But do you think there are categories out there? And, the response is, well, we can't imagine it yet because it's going to be a future world, sort of thing. But it seems like you should have some idea of where these new jobs are going to be.
Yeah. Well, I can start cite the article, and then maybe give my personal take. So they say jobs that are like at low risk and like will maybe increase or like need more people are things like what you might expect, like very much like in-person things like air traffic controllers, security people. Um, they quote like chief executives and like higher level management strategy type roles, and artists like photographers, artists, and they also mentioned pharmacists, which I guess kind of gets on that human level of like, oh, okay, there actually needs to be, a physical human here for maybe like safety, security, uh,
You think
kind of
those are
deal.
less reliable than the AI?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I don't know.
And
I mean, that's just what
and then
that's what the article
robotics.
quotes here.
Yeah,
Oh
totally.
yeah, but they're saying yeah, like, or no, yeah, that's all that they quoted there.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I feel like there is a lot of growth for like jobs and technology inside the AI space, like in companies and products that are producing, AI enabled things. So that's already a space that I feel like has been kind of there's not like a super consistent like ontology around like all of the jobs and roles within AI product development and things like that. Like lots of job titles can kind of mean multiple things. So I feel like in that world and that side of technology, there'll be more kind of like standardization and probably like a growth in like the job family and actual roles to like build and improve AI itself. Yeah, I feel like that's probably like the biggest one that will like create, like job creation will still be more technology forward.
Hmm.
I think I think the answer is actually entrepreneurship. And here's kind of why. Is it's not that it's not that you have to think of your job as like this thing that you must do, this repetitive task over and over again. I think you have to think of your job as more of this, like, how do I help the business in different endeavors, and kind of putting on more of that entrepreneurial hat. Like, if you ask an entrepreneur, what's your job? They wear so many different hats all the time. They're doing a number of different things. Um, I think that that becomes more the role of the job. The job is just less clearly defined and more what needs to get done on a day to day basis, and how do I help the owner of the company, so whoever or the highest up entrepreneur is in the company, to get this thing going and to really be successful with this company. And taking that a little bit further, I think we also have to be uh, thinking what qualifies as entrepreneurship. I mean, there is a person on social media who sells jars of air. That's technically that counts as a way. That's a form of income. That would be a job. There's all kinds of creative ways to make money, and we're passing around money in an economy. So as long as the money doesn't stop being passed around the economy, I think there's unlimited ways to pass it around.
Well, one last thing on that article. I did kind of
Yeah.
like, I noticed the very last line of the article. Do you see that, Addie? Maybe you want to share that?
Yeah, I'm like going back and forth. Um, yeah, I think that's a really good way that they kind of wrap it up here. But yeah, it says until the AI adoption cycle has fully played out, the potential labor market disruption, including which jobs are likely to be displaced by generative AI, will remain an open question. So, yeah, definitely a good way to end it as like, yeah, we still don't know exactly where this is going to
Yeah.
go, and
Just gonna
won't be able to
follow up.
really fully dive in and analyze it
Yeah.
until
And sort of
the
like
cycle is played out. Yeah.
maybe sort of as a true economist is like, okay, we're gonna have to wait and see what happens, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Something
Exactly.
we should go through at some point is I've made this post. It's like the first post I think on my YouTube channel, and it's the 2040 jobs list. And it's basically I was trying to imagine what jobs are there in 2040, and I have this
Mhm.
whole list of all the different industries that I think will be around. I think we should
Mhm.
go through it at some point. It'll be interesting.
Definitely in 2040. Let's meet up then.
Yeah.
In 24
And
in
go find
2040 we'll go
countries.
through the 2040 jobs list. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
absolutely. Man, it's gonna be so wrong by then, but
Yeah. I'll be really old then. But who knows? Maybe he's still around.
Yeah.
I think so. You're still running marathons, John.
Well, so yep, hopefully. Uh,
All right, want to do corporate AI?
Yeah, which in a way is kind of a little bit of what we've been talking about, right? But there was another article. This is the one that was done by a lot of folks at MIT that also got a lot of press because basically what they did is they did a survey of many companies to say, how is it going with your spending on AI and your AI projects? And in the group of companies that they surveyed, which was many, there was over 300 implementations of AI in their sample and that kind of thing. And they talked about the overall spending by not just the companies in the survey, but all companies on actually implementing AI. So not creating the MI, but was like $40 billion. What is the return on that investment? And they found in their survey that only 5% of those companies said they're getting any kind of positive return. 95% said we have seen nothing yet in terms of our sort of bottom line improvements from our AI projects that we've tried to implement. And so, that was a pretty big headline, though, that did tie in with some of the other stuff where, yeah, people were saying, maybe this AI isn't all that it's cracked up to be kind of thing, and that it's not really that helpful. So, yeah, kind of interesting to sort of get that sort of evidence on the one hand. And then on the other hand, we know that hundreds of millions of people are using AI on a daily basis, and they're saying that it's helpful in their work and other things that they're doing, right? So how does that square, I guess?
Yeah. That's super interesting. Yeah, around like, and I think kind of lines up with where we are in the hype cycle right now for AI. Like we're seeing lots of excitement, lots of money being invested into it. But it's still very new, and there's still, maybe going back to the jobs discussion, still like a relatively like low amount of people that are like skilled in this space, or have skills in this space right now. And so there's quite a mismatch between the excitement and the ability to productively implement it. And I think too there's a disconnect as well between like the business implementation and kind of like personal use implementation, which I think makes a lot of sense. Like most of the large AI companies have really been going like a consumer first strategy. You know, like that's their revenue, the majority of the revenue model right now. I mean, not that even they are breaking even on their investments for their companies quite yet, but yeah, like that's just like where a lot of the money in the market has been going, is to create these like individual user based tools, you know, versus kind of like enterprise level and more like specific types of solutions. And so I think there's like so much space for innovation, or at least just like in the product side of like AI for business use, because there's so many levels of it. There's kind of like the employee empowerment level of like, okay, let's like mimic all that productivity that we get with, you know, using our chat GPTs or our, you know, our AI companions on like an individual level, and like make sure that our employees have access to that, have education around that, and like proper policies. But then like how do we use it to actually maybe go into like the operations side of the business and improve things? And I think there's still, yeah, that's what businesses are wanting, but it's still not super mature yet.
Well, and I think it's hard to measure some of the things where like the person who uses AI to write an email or something like that is not measured in this at all. Like
Mm.
when you look at the little efficiencies that actually add up to be really, really big efficiencies over time, um, you know, using Notebook LM to summarize a super long PDF, or like all the other little things that you might be able to do, um, there's a lot of ways where I think it won't show up in those numbers, but it will actually show up a lot in the job satisfaction and things like that, where
Mm.
it's making your employees more efficient, they're able to get more done. That doesn't show up in your AI project piece, because that's not the numbers that you're recording for your revenue, but it still makes a big difference in the way the job is done and in terms of what the employee gets done too.
Yeah. Yeah, and a couple of things that you said that resonated, both of you there. You know, the idea that the AI companies have sort of focused on the consumer, and we know that so many people did decide to, you know, either get a free version or pay the 20 bucks a month because it's not that expensive, and they're using it in their own personal lives, but then they're bringing it to the office too, even if the companies haven't really figured out their AI
Mm.
policy or provided it, kind of thing. And so, you know, so that's, again, that's a sign that they're doing that because it's making their work probably more productive, and definitely they're kind of enjoying using it and finding some satisfaction in ways that they can use it and that kind of thing. Um, so yeah, so that's happening. And then the other part of it is, you know, you're kind of asking for these companies, have you seen it in your, you know, your last quarter's financial reports? And so again, this stuff is very new, and it's really gotten
Mhm.
even a lot better in the last year. And so, you know, there's instances like we were talking about earlier, the company that is using AI to sort of improve their customer experience and supplement the people in their call center, but that hasn't translated into an ROI yet because, yeah, those people are still in the call center and stuff like that. But still, like you said, there's the opportunity for maybe to redeploy those people and add value in new ways, whether it's growing revenues for the company or doing other work and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the what stood out to me most in looking over that article is how there are examples of companies, like there are
Mhm.
examples of companies that are really seeing huge gains in productivity and ROI, and most of those are smaller startups
Mm.
led by younger people, and so they kind of are like, well, where's this divide? It's maybe not necessarily on like the quality of the AI models that are out there now, but more on like a learning gap of like it takes so much more expertise to know how to implement AI well in a larger, more complex, more legacy
Mhm.
company than it does in like a super nimble small startup.
Mhm.
And yeah, the learning gap between, you know, younger people who are more technology and AI native, and like an older workforce as well is a
Hmm.
big part of it too.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I love AI for small business. I mean, that's why I'm gonna keep championing this thing because like
Hmm.
this is the thing for small business to like master this, get good at it, use it in your business. The big businesses, it's very hard for them to actually get this. They have a lot of surface area. They've got a lot of formal policies that are gonna tie them up and slow them down. It's like this is the time for small businesses to really shine with this stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are part of the leadership group at a large company and you read this article, you haven't really done a lot with AI yet, maybe you're going, "Oh, good, I'm glad AI is not really adding any value." But that is definitely the wrong thing to take from this because, as you guys are talking about there, that you think about who your competitors are and who your competitors might be in the future with new
Right.
startups that are just really leveraging AI in new ways. I mean, honestly, that's something that education, whether it's higher ed or K through 12, has to think a lot about because it's not really the option in education in a lot of ways and in so many other areas just to say no, we're not going to do AI because if you take that attitude and you're in any kind of a competitive market, it's going to be you're going to have some new competition. It's almost guaranteed. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's roll that right into the education conversation because I mean, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
huge because you look at the amount of schools and universities that are out there that are just they're behind on this and they're really coming on the back foot of not being caught up with what they need to be doing for the size of what AI actually is for them. I mean, you have scaled you have educational talent at scale with that. It's game changing.
yeah. Um, yeah, a couple sort of points there. I don't know if you guys listen to the Hard Fork podcast with Kevin and
Mm-hmm.
Casey, but the last one that they did was on education, and they had a couple of interesting segments there. One was I've forgotten her name, but she's leading this company where they use AI to kind of teach academics in their school. It's kind of I think it's K through 12. But they only really spend 2 hours on it and using AI, and they've done it in a way that where AI could just be a personal learning assistant. It can create sort of lessons plans that are appropriate for where you are. And she talked about how you can take students that are behind and they can catch up, and it can be so much more flexible. And then the students spend the rest of the time doing other things that are more experiential and kind of engaging in different ways. And not to say it's perfect, but it was pretty interesting model that is getting some, and you can see it. You can see. I mean, there's many other sort of ed tech AI based models that seem to have a lot of promise. The other thing I liked about that podcast too is that then they also asked for students, college students, to sort of like share how are they using it, and there were a number of college students that were using it in ways that were super creative and helpful for their learning, not just doing the assignments. Because that's the thing. Traditional assignments can pretty much be 100% done by AI. So
Mm-hmm.
that provides a big challenge. But they were doing things that had to do with t- notes from class with the textbook and creating quizzes and prompts and checking, do I know this stuff? I mean, it was pretty amazing what they were doing. So yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going on there.
If I were back in my college days, I would be using Notebook LM nonstop. It would be like my everyday tool, and just like the efficiencies that that gives you to just do study guides, podcasts of any PDF you have, uh, video overviews, audio overviews, all those fun stuff. Mind maps is a new thing they have in there. The efficiencies of that is just mind blowing. I mean, the amount of learning that you could get done that in an amount of time with just different study materials and ways that you can enhance your learning. It's shocking. I think it's
Yeah.
going to change a lot.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting too. And I also reflect on that too of like, oh wow, yeah, I didn't go to college in the time of AI. And if I did, how would things be different? And I
Mhm.
always say I really went towards such a like technical numbers, math, statistics type of career because I really hated writing and proofreading and making essays. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that for 4 years in college. So I'm just gonna not even try to look at those types of jobs. But I think, now that there's so many resources, or like we're going to be getting so many more that kind of wrap around different learning styles, I think people might be more free to like pursue more interest-based like learning and careers versus like, oh, this is my learning style, these are my skills that I might most naturally gravitate towards. I think hopefully that there's like, okay, well, maybe you're like really great at math, but you're super interested, in, I'm trying to think of an example, I don't know, art history. And so maybe there's different ways to kind of find more like holistic education for people's like interests and passions. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's one of the other things that you can do with AI. You can really go outside of your major and do way more than what your major is focusing in on. I mean, just for example, I made a 45-second, basically a commercial, using AI. It took me like 3 hours. And it's like, that level of unlocking that creativity, and I'm an engineering major, so like, typically you'd think engineering major, okay, not gonna make a 30-second creative commercial or something like that. But I could use Google Flow, and I could just pretty much go, what do I think the scene should be, and kind of put the scene together and put a story together. And yeah, it's actually, I should share that soon. So we'll jump to that in a little bit, but we'll keep going on education for a sec.
Yeah, because another part of it is thinking about sort of when should AI kind of be introduced to elementary school kids. I was talking about that program, that sort of the K through 12 program, and like I was thinking about like our granddaughter Lucille, who's in the 2nd grade this year, and stuff. And she's even going to the Portland Public's French school, which is called Le Mans. At the same time, I just, the Apple came out with the new AirPods that are, and so like, oh, why learn a language, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, there's a lot of benefits to doing that kind of learning and stuff. And so, yeah, when do you want to introduce sort of some of this tech to really young kids that have so much learning to do, And it seems like unless you do it in a good way, it could be pretty stunting on their development and stuff, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. That seems like such a big question. And I think, similarly with with other technology in the past, kind of the point that we were making earlier, like AI seems and feels a lot different. It's not the same question of like, when should my kid get a cell phone? It's definitely bigger than that. And yeah, I feel like as someone who's not a formal educator, I don't really have great answers, but yeah, definitely something super important to consider. At the same time, wanting to make sure people are like skilled and enabled, as we talked about, that learning gap still exists. Yeah.
You got me thinking about the, like, when does a kid use a cell phone, and kind of what are those educational moments that the kids already have. Think about the kid that's watching like Dora the Explorer, right? If you had a version of that where instead of like the time when Dora asks you a question and then you yell the answer at her, and she doesn't hear you at all because it's just like, ask the question to the kids from the TV. An AI version of that where it is that educational piece that's going through and doing some of the same things that TV education might try to do, but it enhances that in a way. So it's their favorite characters that they can learn and interact with, but they can interact with them in a different level. I mean, like, kids create imaginary friends. You could actually create very, very realistic, very real world imaginary friends. And I think it's just interesting. There's also on that topic though, we do have to figure out how to not just how to not freak them out, I guess. Like how to get them exposed to it, and then so I think that's one aspect. The other element is, how do you get them not to just feel like they get the answer right away? And that's where I look at products like Khanmigo, there's the ChatGPT study mode, I think, as well. Haven't used that much, but those will basically go and they won't give you the answer, but they'll kind of lead you there.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the AI that I think you want kids engaging with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's so much room for growth, like as we're talking about like future jobs and, in industries. Yeah. This sort of, research and crafting AI to, more and more specific use cases like learning a language as a 4-year-old or things like that. There's that can totally become like its whole own industry. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. One thing I think we can say, or I can certainly say from being on university campus, is it's been a rapid increase in terms of the use of AI by students. Even just a year ago, last fall, and certainly if you go back to, let's say, fall of 2023, then there weren't many students that were using it, and there was, but now pretty much everybody uses it every day, I would say, for sure. And even at the high school level, talking to some kids there, it seemed like a year ago they weren't really using it much, and now they're using it for lots of different things. So,
I'll do this real quick because it needs to be done. If you don't think that we're going to use AI and you're like, when are we going to use AI? It's everybody will use AI. Everybody. Like you who is behind the camera who's like it's not, no one's going to use it. Everybody will use AI at some point. It's just
speaking of
how
that,
it works. It's like the
your
internet.
video. Let's see your video.
It's like the internet and things like that. Who's going to use the internet? Everybody's going to use the internet. Who's going to use a smartphone? Everybody's going to use the smartphone. Who's going to use AI? Everybody. So you might as well learn it now. All right. So, the video. All right.
So excited.
Share my screen. Oh yeah, you're going to love this one. It's very entertaining. All right. Ready to go to the Wild West?
Okay. I like it already.
Oh, wait, here. Let me make sure I spotlighted it. Okay, yeah, we're good.
AI Fridays, the best way for small businesses to learn how to use AI. But the funny thing about the frontier is it doesn't stay the frontier for long. And if you don't keep up, you might seem a bit old-fashioned. But just like how I can get myself one of these modern horses with just a click of a button, you can click a button to start modernizing your business. So what are you waiting for? Join us in the Innovation community for AI Fridays and start modernizing your business today. Yeah!
It's so good. I'm so proud of it.
This is amazing. Especially the last part.
Right?
I'm so impressed. This is incredible. I want to make one for me too now.
Yeah, that's what you were saying earlier, Addie, about sort of the mix of Alex's creativity and AI to do something.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's so cool that you can make something like this and not have to understand video production.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like, you can go in and you can just like, actually, let me show a little bit of the back end of it. So it's in Google Flow, and basically what you're able to do is you generate the videos. So I generated a bunch of AI videos, and you put them into the scene builder. The scene builder is then when you stitch these 7-second videos together. And a big piece of it is actually keeping that character consistency. So when you're generating that next frame, you can actually use the last frame of your other AI video. So then that first frame of the next AI generated video has that consistency between the two. It basically has a handoff.
Okay.
So that's basically how it works. And then the other piece is you can generate images and you can do the ingredients to images. And so you can use that to generate your AI images that actually keep that the correct consistency and then carry the style through. So you can say, oh, I want the cowboy, but I want the cowboy with like San Francisco in the background. And it does that. I want the cowboy, but I want the cowboy on the motorcycle. and then it does
Mhm.
that. Then I want the cowboy, but I want the cowboy on this motorcycle, and then it does that too. So you can keep the same character consistency.
And you were saying if you wanted to, you could have uploaded a photo of yourself and you could have been the star of your commercial.
Oh my gosh.
I could have been the cowboy, but I feel like
I think you'd be a good looking cowboy. You got the beard
I,
going and
I
all that
could
good
really
stuff.
do it. I mean,
Yeah.
get a
Uh-huh.
hat on there. I could just, you know what I could do? Actually, I could probably replace the cowboy in this. I could just replace each shot and just say,
Mm.
make the cowboy me, and then give the reference image of me, and then
Mhm.
generate all the images and then make it happen again. So, yeah,
That's awesome.
the crazy things that you can do with AI.
Okay. I'm taking this as a challenge to myself. I'm
Oh.
gonna create a video by the next time we talk, and I already know who the character is gonna be. Y'all probably know as well.
We'll do a little AI film comp again. Just a
Yes.
monthly one. Just share your favorite. Then people can vote.
Yeah. This is gonna be great.
Also, it's on YouTube if anyone wants to watch it. It's on YouTube and at on the Annovation community about page. So school.com/annovation or on YouTube if you just look for Annovation. In case you're missing the cowboy video already.
Mhm.
Yeah, and along with the cool sort of new video stuff, there's a lot of image stuff too that you can do that you really couldn't do that well even just 6 months ago, right?
Mhm.
Combining photos, getting different versions of things. Yeah, I was playing around with a little bit of that, and it's just like it does things. I combined a photo that was one I took with an AI generated image, and I was sort of putting people in it, and the photo that I took had a shadow because it was a sunny photo, and
Mm.
I didn't even ask it to do it, but it knew to put a shadow that lined up with the shadow from this lamppost behind the people kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah, and at first the people were a little big, but I said make them smaller, and boom, it just was really, really impressive.
And then that's actually one of our last pieces of news that we mentioned was Nano Banana. When you hear people talk about that weird thing, they're why are people talking about Nano Banana? What is that? What even that makes no sense. It's just AI image generation inside of Google. So it's
Mhm.
not some like new tool that you have to find outside of Google. Just go to Gemini, go to image generation. You'll see it. That is what Nano Banana is. It's really good image generation, and that's actually what makes it so easy to make some of the video stuff. Is when you can make the images that you can reference in the video, it makes generating video easier.
Mm.
And that's just where it's at today. Imagine how this gets better over time.
Mhm.
So I think
Yeah,
this is going to be really, really interesting for unlocking. You can
definitely.
create whatever you want.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, maybe like a continued, or maybe next time we talk, we're talking a lot about like Google's capacity, right? Or, kind of what they're pushing forward right now. But especially on like the image editing side, Apple's investing a lot in kind of being able to do that all on your phone. And so they're doing a lot of like hardware technology investment of making these sort of
Mm.
technologies basically like run more efficiently and on smaller devices as well. So that's another interesting kind of
Mhm.
direction that things are going.
Yeah, on device versus off device is something that
Mhm.
not a lot of people think about even in the AI world, but I think we'll be paying more attention to it later as it
Mhm.
becomes more prevalent. As soon as
Mhm.
Apple finally gets that together, gets that on their phones, and replaces Siri, which I was hoping they would have done this week, but they didn't do that this week. It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
It's not going to be soon.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of people with Apple's sort of annual kind of demo day saying, "Oh, it was a little bit flat. There wasn't that much new stuff," But and that a lot of people have sort of been critical of Apple sort of being a little bit slow with bringing out some of the AI stuff. But again, still, we're only talking about a few years, and Apple could still come up with some crazy new stuff, and I think that they will in the next couple of years. And so, yeah. Anyway,
We're
that's
not even 3 years past the GPT moment, the ChatGPT
hmm
moment.
that's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
hmm
that'll be in November. We'll
Yeah,
have
and
to.
Apple does have a pretty good reputation of being reliable and and solid and stuff. And so, yeah, I'm not quite as down on them as a lot of people are,
Mhm.
but we'll see, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. They're not always first, but they often do it really well. Like you see, that was their case with I think smartphone. Like that's been their
Oh yeah.
case a while. Is
Hmm.
they're not the first one there,
Yeah.
but
The
they tend to do a
iPod.
really
Was
good
that what it
job
was
of it.
called?
Mhm.
iPod. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and then you see them doing that with VR. Their
Hmm.
their their Apple Vision Pro, though very expensive, is also very very good. If you get the chance to demo one.
Hmm. Oh.
Um,
Hmm.
and which you can do if you go over to the Apple Store and over there in Pioneer Place.
Hmm.
Um, so if you want to, it's very fun.
Field trip.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing is they're not necessarily first, but then they get there, they do tend to do a good job. Though they have been in talks apparently with Gemini to be the backbone of Siri, which I think would be interesting.
Mm,
And they've also been talking with OpenAI or with ChatGPT and OpenAI. So and they already do have that integration with OpenAI. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
yeah,
It'll be interesting.
yeah, definitely good to keep an eye on it.
All right. Well, we're pretty much at the end here. So do you guys want to tell everybody what you're working on?
Sure. I'll jump in.
Yeah, go first.
The big thing I've been working on is here at the University of Portland, we are launching an executive ed program in AI. And so it launches on November 4th. So, yeah, reach out to me if that's something you might be interested in learning a little bit about. Be super happy to talk to you about it. So excited about that. I also do have my AI class on campus on Mondays at 4:10. And so if anybody wants to come to that, you can reach out as well, and I can kind of send you the room and stuff. You can just email me for both of these things down at up.edu. And the last thing I was going to just mention, I'm not exactly working on it, but um, maybe a topic for next month, depending on if it does actually get some play, but something I'm sort of expecting to see more stories on over the next several weeks is kind of like AI safety in the long run, because Eliezer Yudkowsky, who's someone who's been looking at AI risk and safety for like a couple decades, is coming out with a new book, and
Mm,
he's quite a figure in the AI space. It's called "If Anyone Builds It, We All Die," and it has to do with AGI. So maybe we could at least spend a little bit of
yeah,
time on that next uh, next next month. So
He's always an AI optimist.
yeah.
very
um,
optimistic. Yeah.
one of the early AI interviews I listened to was an interview with him. I was like,
Hmm.
holy crap.
I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a long time ago too, right? Like,
yeah.
yeah. Well, not well for me. You probably weren't even hardly around when, but I remember one at least 10 years ago. So, but
Yeah,
So
excited
Addie,
to
what
read
are
that
you
book.
working on?
Yeah, so I've been fairly busy this summer with client work, and will continue to be through the fall. As far as like new things that are coming up, I'm actually working on an open source course on building agents, that y'all will hear more about and will be publicized more later. But in some of my client work, I really haven't had the chance to do super like hands-on agent work. And it's something that like skills that I'm personally interested in building. So I was like,
mm,
well, what if I learn it myself and then build a way to kind of teach people how to do it themselves too. So that's kind of just like my personal development goal. That should be coming out later this fall, maybe like November timeline. But yeah, that's what I've been working on.
that'd be an interesting
Sweet.
topic for us to spend some time on too, especially with the expertise you're developing. So,
Yeah, so
Oh
I'm learning a
man,
lot.
and making people understand like helping people understand what agents are because the
Yeah,
amount of times the agent is used in the AI space in just all kinds of ways is so frustrating.
definitely. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think
And what
that'll be
about you,
good.
Alec? What are you working on?
So I have a thing called AI Fridays. So it's every Friday
Mm,
at 9:30 or sorry, every Friday at 9 in the morning. Um it's a gathering of small business owners and we just meet up, we talk through um AI news of the week if there's anything super important. Um Basically a tool of the week and then we go through the wins and how how you'd use the tool, and then any AI wins and AI questions of the week.
Awesome.
So it's a great way for small businesses who are trying to figure out how the heck do they use AI to figure that out and figure out what other businesses are doing so that they can figure out how to use it themselves. So
Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And I do have a courses section in there, so if there is a way I could put a link to that course in there,
Okay. Yes.
which would
We'll
be
do that.
good. Yeah, if you're interested. So
Mhm.
yeah, and then both Addie and I are doing stuff with, so John's AI Exec Ed program. If you know anyone who would be interested in that program, definitely check that out because we got some cool stuff there. John and I were just shooting some stuff for it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely going to be a really, really good program. So
Yeah.
then
sure.
Addie, I think, is teaching or something. in
Yeah,
there.
definitely. Yeah. Addie's doing a session, so that's great.
Yep. So check all those out. And we will see you next month for the monthly AI update. All right.
All right.
I'm going
Thanks,
to play
Alex.
us out.
Thanks, Addie.
Mhm.
I did not make this with AI, by the way. I went into GarageBand and actually put this whole thing together.
That's awesome.